For decades, it was the absolute pinnacle of luxury air travel. I mean, a giant floating hotel in the clouds. But in less than a minute, it became this symbol of horrific disaster. So today, what we're going to do is a forensic breakdown of the final 25 minutes of the Hindenburg, really digging in second by second to understand how this marvel of engineering turned into a terrifying inferno.
Okay, so picture this. It's May 6, 1937, 7 o'clock at night. The Hindenburg has just made it all the way across the Atlantic, and it's getting ready to land in New Jersey. But down below, a perfect storm of factors is already coming together, converging right on this massive airship. The clock is officially ticking.
Now, the really wild thing here is that the disaster didn't start with some huge explosion. No, it started quietly. You see, inside the control car, the crew was already on edge. There was this severe weather rolling in, making the landing really, really difficult. And this feeling of anxiety, well, that was the first sign that this was not going to be a routine approach. It was a prelude to a series of small, overlooked glitches that would soon turn absolutely fatal.
To really get what happens next, you have to understand the ship itself. I mean, the Hindenburg was just magnificent, this impossibly huge machine. But it was also, when you get right down to it, a flying gilded cage with a fundamental, catastrophic flaw right at its very core.
So inside the hull, the whole structure was divided into these 16 enormous gas cells. This compartmentalization, it was meant to be a safety feature, right? Kind of like the bulkheads in a submarine. But ironically, the very thing that was intended for safety would end up accelerating its destruction, creating a chain reaction that nobody could stop. And this right here tells you everything you need to know. The Hindenburg was designed for safe, non-combustible helium, but American export restrictions at the time meant they just couldn't get it. So the engineers were forced into a massive compromise, using a highly flammable hydrogen. This one single decision turned the very system keeping the ship in the air into a deadly trap, just sitting there, waiting to be sprung.
Okay, so let's get back to those final 25 minutes. As the captain, Max Pruss, is trying to navigate this tricky landing, the world outside the airship is becoming just as dangerous as the highly flammable gas inside it.
So the crew was basically fighting a war on 3 invisible fronts at the same time. They could see the thunderstorms, sure, but the air itself was electric, literally charged with static from the storm. And worst of all, something was going terribly wrong deep inside the ship's frame, completely hidden from view.
This is it. This is the moment the trap really begins to close. While the whole crew is focused on the weather and trying to stick the landing, the ship was slowly, silently, breaking apart from the inside out.
Just look at this path to catastrophe. Around 7:10, a sharp turn puts way too much stress on the frame. Then, just a minute later, a bracing wire snaps and slashes right into a gas cell. For the next 14 minutes, colorless, odorless, and incredibly explosive hydrogen is just pouring into the ship's upper hull. And the crew? They have absolutely no idea. They're going in blind, completely unaware that their ship's balance is collapsing and that it has become a floating bomb.
And now we're here, the final, fatal moment. Everything is perfectly in place. You've got the flammable gas, you've got the electrically charged atmosphere. All it needs now is one single, tiny spark.
And this is the trigger, a completely routine action. The heavy, wet landing lines are dropped to the ground crew so they can pull the massive ship to its mooring mast. But on this day, this simple, normal procedure dooms every single person on board.
Okay, so here's the physics of the disaster in a nutshell. The ropes are wet from all the rain. When they hit the damp ground, they instantly ground the Hindenburg's metal frame. All that static electricity that's built up on the ship's skin, it needs somewhere to go, right? It discharges in a spark. That spark jumps from the frame to the fabric skin, and it finds that massive cloud of hydrogen that's been leaking for the last 14 minutes. The ticking time bomb detonates.
What happens next? It's almost too fast to even comprehend. This disaster didn't just destroy a ship, it destroyed an entire industry. It was the end of an entire age of travel. 34 seconds. That's it. That is all it took. From the very first visible flame you could see near the tail to the moment the burning skeleton crashed to the ground. In just over half a minute, the largest aircraft ever built was simply gone.
The human cost was just devastating. 36 passengers and crew lost their lives. But the impact, it was so much broader. Public faith in airships, it just vanished overnight. The age of luxury passenger airships was over. And in the aftermath, the official explanations were often really vague, almost like the world couldn't admit that such a marvel could fail so spectacularly. Today, all that marks the spot is a simple chain outline on the ground.
That quiet field in New Jersey, it serves as a permanent, grim monument to those 36 victims, and to a dream of travel that just died in the fire. It's a permanent reminder that no matter how majestic the engineering, there's no washing away its dark history.
And it leaves us with this question, doesn't it? The Hindenburg was brought down by a whole convergence of factors. But it all traces back to that one compromise, using hydrogen instead of helium. It really makes you wonder, can our greatest technological achievements, our biggest innovations, ever truly be safe from one single, overlooked point of failure?